through 2.7. Because I wanted a document that we could say, is he supposed to do that or not? You know, 9 months from now. Well, we have one. Right. And it goes through everyone. So what I'm going to suggest to us, well, my biggest crutch is I know how much cash we have, but I'm always the positive guy. I'm not the negative guy. So I didn't mean to look at you when I said that. But you know what I mean. For me, what I would like to do is get this approved for them through that development, the preliminary subdivision plan, which includes 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0, which are the first three phases to get us through concept, through that preliminary development plan, so we get the pretty picture back from them, gets us through the concept design stuff, and gets the survey done. And at that point, we'll be in August, and we'll have a whole better outlook on what's going on. You know, but our expenditure is, well, I didn't add it up, but it's less than 15,000.
Yeah, it's right, just a tick under 15,000.
Yeah.
I totally agree. The way that my brain works, I'm really having a hard time latching onto this until we talked about this before, doing this in phases. And I guess where I need to get to is, you know, get through all that stuff, what are we gonna build and how it's gonna look, and then figure out how we're gonna break it apart and what each of those phases is gonna cost, because then it determines when we can start. What's the cash number we gotta have to get this thing rolling?
Jesse and I had a long talk the other day about what should phase one be. And it was a pretty interesting discussion, because after you and I talked is when I called him, and we talked about, well, should the lift station be first? Don't know yet. How much is the lift station covering? And he goes, well, we don't know, because a portion of that site may very well flow.
Yeah.
So, or is it something that, you know, what end do you start at? What do you connect to?
Right.
But I think those kinds of things are what our committee, once we start getting a feel for this, and this stuff is all gonna come back to us.
Yeah.
It's gonna come back to CHRC every month with, here's where we're at, here's what we're thinking, and our meetings are gonna get a little longer, because this is fun stuff to me. This is what I do. This is the good stuff. So, I know where you're coming from, but my problem is I can't get you there until we spend it.
I understand that.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
I know, but
Yeah.
I fully understand that we've got to, I mean, we have to have DGR's help to get to that point. So, like I said, I'm 100% on board. I think we need to get going on it. And, you know, like I said, that's going to help us determine what our actual timeline is going to be. Because I would love nothing more than to finish those off and just jump 2 feet right into this, and you know, a year from now we put new houses over there. I just don't. It's hard for me to get excited on that until I.
Well, it's interesting, because when we started talking about it, my very first thought was, well, if the front piece up here naturally drains, I want to build my entrance and this development sign and get the first few houses going and create this atmosphere with the school being built across the street. It's going to explode. So,
I think you're very right.
but then you talk to the engineers, and, well, we really, lift station. Well, I guess I'm an above the ground guy. I'm not a below the ground guy.
Well, and there's a couple other factors that can play into that. I mean, the triangular ground on the other side of the tracks back there, as you know, Pheasant Ridge has always planned to develop
whole lift station thing could really end up being half, because we would share that with that development, because they're gonna need it.
Yeah. The other thing to consider is, I mean, you know, we've got 35 acres of ground. You know, that piece right next to us on the other side of the fence is owned by Benson's. And, you know, at some point, do we need to talk to them to see what their future plans with that particular piece of ground are? Because that could affect some of our design layout as well, and as far as.
To the south?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Well,
because, I mean, obviously, they've got a lot of really valuable highway frontage. Everything behind that, again, most of that is back up to high ground.
Right.
You know, so if, you know, if they were interested in starting some development, then again, maybe we could have some shared, you know, one of those, one of the first drawings that they had just one frontage road running down that fence line because they're
Right.
out of space. Well, you know, if Benson's were interested in, they don't have to open up much, but if they were interested in, you know, adding some development on the other side of that, we would share the cost of a road, you know,
Right,
that kind of
there's a
stuff.
lot of different things out there.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited to get to that point, because I love to talk with those folks about some opportunity.
The one thing that I had, well, I'm like parks and trails and, you know, kind of my soapbox, but, you know, we have that big drainage way that's going right through some of those lots, and they're not gonna be buildable lots.
Right.
So we have an opportunity to sort of develop that. I mean, we're shooting for this sort of park feel in town, and it's getting there. You know, banners and the streets and the light poles, and as that grows and does its thing, I mean, that character is really gonna start coming out.
Well, I think we have a really awesome opportunity for a really nice entrance to that development right there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think we got an opportunity to do something really cool.
Yep. Exactly.
You know, we have school on one side of the road, and something neat on the other side.
Yeah.
I tell you what, coming into town at night with all those lights on, I love it.
So one
It's
thing
awesome.
about the lights, they never have turned to fixture yet, have they?
I think they did, because I swear they're running, the lights were running north and
Well,
south.
it's not
At
that-
first, now they're running the lights inside.
Because when I laid it out, I spaced it, that 150 feet is based off of the light throw on the trail.
I think they turned them all.
Because they were gonna turn one and we were gonna look at it, but then nobody ever said anything. I never asked Chad, I don't know.
I thought I was seeing things, because they were switched one day.
You know, like 2 weeks ago, I noticed there was a bunch of dirt moved around, a bunch of poles again, I don't know.
Well, I know they were here, but I never really paid attention.
It was done before that.
Interesting. Yeah, because the whole idea was that the trail would never be dark.
Right. It was dark right away. It was nuts.
Oh, it was terrible. Had the yards lit up well.
Yeah.
That one guy's poor house. You know. But anyway, so that's what I brought to the board, related to how this proposal is developed, a little of the background information. So I guess, Mr. Chairman, I would put forth a motion to approve items 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0 in the DGR proposal today.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
A little nervous about spending the money, but I know we don't know what we're gonna do there. We don't know when it starts. We gotta spend that little bit of money. I agree with you. It's not a lot.
No, yeah, it's not a lot of capital, and it's, I don't know, I don't know much. I mean,
Do it now or wait a
especially, I
year?
mean,
I think
especially the top of it.
Our numbers are really attractive.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised.
I know.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
It's exciting to be able to develop it, let people have a say in what it's gonna look like instead of this is what you got. I like that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and then that's what, because now if we approve this evening, that the design committee will get started and I'll start collecting, you know, zoning requirements and all that stuff for the design group. And then we'll start kicking it around.
further discussion on it? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion carries. I don't have any other business on the agenda, so I'll take a motion to adjourn. A second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.